Hi, this is Adrian Pang. You're listening to Do Not Clique, and this is the podcast being recorded on Fariqqin's birthday.
Check 1 2. You're listening to Do Not Clique.
Considering you're speaking to me the day after my 53rd birthday.
Oh wait, today is my birthday.
No way.
No, I'm not kidding. Today is my birthday.
Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you so much.
You're working on your birthday.
Yes.
Well, I was
It's
working
a great
on my
birthday present to have you
Oh,
on the
please.
podcast.
Oh, please. No. So yesterday was my birthday and it was business as usual. It was a work day, dealing with stuff at work, dealing with stuff at home. And I went to see Slash in the evening.
Oh, all right. They came. Are you a rock fan?
I am.
I was wondering if you had any taste in music because
people just no taste whatsoever.
People just know you as the theatre guy or the acting guy, you know?
That guy.
What kind of music other than Slash do you listen to?
I'm Slash's #1 fan.
Oh.
I'm not actually.
Have you met him?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I've seen him twice. He came, like 6-7 years ago with his band, and we went to see him then. And then I got tickets to go and see him again last night. So me and my son and friend went along and kind of rocked out a little bit. But as for taste in music, oh God, it's pretty eclectic. I've got 2 teenage sons, so they keep me updated on what's happening out there.
Lady Gaga or
No.
Cardi
You know
B?
what? No, I'm sorry, man. Lady Gaga. Can't stand Lady Gaga. And I have to be honest, I can't stand Cardi B.
Me neither. I'm very open genre.
Yeah.
I like the artist. So if the artist makes good music, I like the artist. So
Sure.
I'm not very genre specific favoritism.
Right.
Yeah, but so far this generation's music has not appealed to me very well.
Really? How old?
Yeah.
As a young man, that's very
Yeah.
surprising to hear. No, I just find, people like Lady Gaga, Cardi B, there's an element of just kind of trying too hard that just rubs me up the wrong way.
You've seen their music videos, the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Very theatre-esque.
Yeah, sure. There's something theatrical about it, but there is also...
The message is a bit too dark for you to
No.
comprehend.
Dark doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I like dark. I live in the dark. It's just the inevitable, unavoidable feeling of, look at me, which I suppose is part of the deal, really, when you're in the business. But I don't know, just the messages that these artists are kind of shoving in our faces, seem to be slightly reek of desperation. But hey, to each his own. Hey, who am I to say? They're making millions of dollars.
To me, again, I don't want to make this too much about them. It's more about you for this podcast. But it's amazing how their fame fluctuates. Like one moment they're huge and then one moment just disappeared.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the monster.
That's the monster.
Fighting. Yeah.
How's your 2019 so far?
Not bad. I mean, we're just slightly more than a week into it. We're gearing up. When I say we, I always speak on behalf of Pangdemonium Theatre Company, which is my life, really.
It took me a while to connect the Pang in the Pangdemonium films to your name.
Hey.
I mean, I assume it is your last name, right?
You assume right.
Yes.
Yes.
And why is the I in a small letter?
Why? Because you have to assume a state of humility as an I.
As an I.
In the bigger scheme of the Pangdemonium.
Okay, but ultimately the essence is pandemonium, like the word.
It
pandemonium.
is, because that's the nature of my life. Pandemonium is a state of chaos and mayhem.
Okay.
And that is really sums up how my life has been.
That's the essence of Adrian Pang.
It is. I'm just a walking bag of chaos.
30 years, so much has changed, but your hair maintains the same.
Well, I'm just glad to have hair still.
Yeah, you're right. Your hair is very rich for...
Well, I don't want to mess with it too much.
Sponsored by Unam.
I wish that they would
sponsor you.
Throw some money at me. But like I said, for someone my age, I'm just thankful I still have some hair to play with. A lot of it is, most of it is already grey, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says. But like I said, just the very fact that there is hair to be grey
is grateful
on my head, I'm very thankful.
I mean, we don't want to be shiny like Erwin.
Hey, he wears it well, man. That boy.
Our mutual friend.
Yes, Erwin Shah Ismail.
I saw you at his wedding.
He's got a really nice dome-shaped head.
He pulls it off very nicely.
He does. He's a lucky man.
Yeah. You have a very nice tattoo. Is it you unfold your forearm for a purpose, just to let me see your tattoo.
Yes, just for you, fariqqin. Yes.
When did you get that tattoo? It's a dragon tattoo.
I've got dragon here on my forearm. I've got another one on my upper arm.
Is this a teenage regret or
No, no. It's just like my third midlife crisis.
third midlife crisis? Yeah.
Type of thing. They've kind of grown over the years and crept down my arm over the years.
Did you have that when you were in mediacorp or?
Oh God, no!
It must be a bitch.
It would have been a pain in the ass.
To hide it and all that.
Hide it, but I have my ways. I found my ways to hide these things.
Gangster
if I have to
roles.
do any kind of filming, and when I'm on stage, I have a secret way of concealing it if I need to.
Is that your hidden dragon? Like in case
Yes, and you should see my crouching tiger.
Crouching tiger. Wow. Now I want to right off the bat ask you if you are a fan of wrestling.
What kind of wrestling? Real wrestling
Well,
or WWE?
WWE.
Wrestling?
I mean, okay, you
Which is also real wrestling, of course.
No. But you're spot on. Like, if you're a wrestling purist, you don't watch WWE for wrestling because they've pretty much tried to stay away from wrestling. Even their wrestlers are called superstars and not wrestlers. But it's essentially, I feel, it's very close to theatre performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, just as Lady Gaga is very theatrical, I mean, that's why they even change it to WWE.
Yeah.
Entertainment. It's an E, it's entertainment. And it's just, that's what it is. It's a show. They're putting on a show.
Yeah. But do you appreciate that it's another different kind of art form where they hurt their bodies for
Absolutely.
It's not something that you would do, but
no, look at me, my goodness. I mean, it's something which I have given the time of day for maybe 10 minutes to watch, and after a while the entertainment value, the E and the WWE just kind of starts to wither for me. And because I know that is theatricality, I guess the magic for me kind of disappears.
Yeah. But it's theatre.
It is. But you know what? Over the last few years, I've become a big fan of mixed martial arts.
MMA,
yeah.
There's a UFC fighter or MMA fighter called Adrian Pang.
There is. I know. People.
I googled your name and some
are always expecting to either see me in the cage or him on stage. There's a missing link there somewhere that someone's not taking advantage of.
I mean, the reason I brought wrestling up is because their universe is different in the sense that it's a whole performance. It's like a TV show. It's on every week. But you essentially play the character for a very long time.
Yeah, they have to live the character.
Yeah, you have to live the character. Like, if you're a bad guy, you're the bad guy. I mean, you have to be able to take walking down the street and, the fact that people hate you and all that. Do you see people in theatre like taking it that far, like, as a character-wise?
Possibly not in theatre. I mean, the very fact that I suppose by the nature of theatre, you have to go into work every day and perform that character and tell that story night after night. So, once the curtain comes down, it's probably good for your sanity to get out of that character. But, I mean, speaking just from personal experience, I mean, there are certain characters which kind of move in and live with you in your brain for the period that you have to do it. And then after you finish the performance of it, you got to try and persuade them to move out. Yeah, they perhaps don't want to move out that easily. You got to kind of kick them out.
You go to therapy to...
in a strange way, for me, theatre is my therapy.
Theatre is your therapy.
It is. I'm one of those kind of classic, cliched, messed up people who have found a way to kind of get through the day just by pretending to be somebody else.
All right. Let's go back a little bit. You're actually Malaysian.
I am. I was born in Malacca.
Malacca.
Boy,
and you came to this island of Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God you didn't stay. You didn't stay there.
Hey, why are you doing? Not Malacca. Malacca's got great satay.
Great satay. Oh.
It's the only satay I will eat, actually, is Malacca satay.
The argument whether nasi lemak is a Singapore creation or Malaysian creation, who knows? But anyways, after you are done with JC, you studied in Britain for theatre?
I finished my national service and then I went to the UK to study law. So I went to the University of Kiel, that's up somewhere in the Midlands in the UK, in the middle of nowhere actually. There's more sheep than people there. The closest thing to civilization was the city of Stoke, if you can call that civilization. And yeah, I did law and psychology and somehow I passed and got my degree. And after that, I did a 1-year kind of postgraduate acting course and then stayed on in the UK for the next 9 years and, working as an actor.
Do you think you've built a very good foundation over there rather than if you started your theatre training right here in Singapore?
I would say that,
Is it more established in terms of theatre?
I mean, the very fact that somewhere like, say, London has a long and rich heritage of theatre, and me, just kind of trying to immerse myself in that, certainly was a huge learning curve for me. And the 9 years that I worked as an actor in the UK, was really kind of trial by fire, because it's a very established industry there, and it's huge. And there are many, 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 many actors like myself at the time, at any one time, fighting for work. And the statistic is that only 5% of actors are working at any one time. So with a depressing statistic like that, and you're trying to stay within that 5% as much of the time as possible. Yeah, those are the odds. That's what you kind of set yourself up for.
The schedule must be grueling, right? Like you basically have no social life and all that.
Oh gosh, by the time I came back to Singapore after those 9 years, and I came back to Singapore in 2001, I basically signed my life away to become actually at the time I came back to join MediaWorks, this new kind of Rebel Alliance TV company that was starting, and they were recruiting people. So I got a phone call and was asked, hey, would you like to come back to Singapore? At the time, I was a young father of 2 little boys, so they caught me at a vulnerable time. And I thought, okay, you know what? I got to take care of these boys, and this perhaps is an opportunity for me to do it in a way I never really imagined before. Okay, let's just give it a try. So I came back to Singapore, and basically that's what I committed to, being a full-time employee of this big TV corporation, which was something new to me because prior to that, in the UK, I had always been freelancing. So the freelance life, the insecurity that comes with a freelance life compared to just, like I said, committing to a constant,
safer, secure,
which for me really was a matter of, okay, if I can offer a little bit of stability and security for the family, look after my kids, and still do some work, hopefully that is of any worth and meaning, then let's give it a try. So that's what I kind of did, really.
When it comes to freelancing for this type of job, is there such a thing as like getting snubbed by people don't pay you after you do your work? Is there such a thing?
I've heard of horror stories. Yeah, certainly in the UK, because there is an actors union called Equity, you're protected. And so as long as you're an Equity member, then, they'll take care of you and make sure that you're not taken advantage of.
That's good.
But certainly
there are cases.
I've heard horror stories in Singapore of either actors or technicians doing the work and not being paid for months and months and months, and some not being paid at all, which is horrendous, because on top of the insecurity of
you put your time and effort,
you get work, you do the work, and then you don't get paid. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
we really desperately need some form of protection. Otherwise, you're just discouraging people from entering the industry, and that's a real shame.
Yeah, and you came back to Singapore and you got rid of your Singapore accent.
Did I? I don't know. You know what? I just speak the way I speak, whatever comes out.
Is this a British accent?
No, this is hardly a British accent. When I have to put on a British accent, I put on a British accent. This is just kind of the way I
speak.
It's just, you just have to learn to code switch, I suppose.
Yeah.
This is, I suppose, my default. Speaking into a microphone accent.
Yeah. I've always wondered whether I should speak like you or because this is how I grew up. I can't change. I have to be natural in my,
You have to speak the way that feels truthful to yourself.
That's right. I've watched a lot of your interviews. You have a very decorated portfolio, long list of stuff that you've done, long list of projects. And you're definitely a respected figure in the media or entertainment industry.
If you say so.
So when you meet people, do you feel like they have like a preconceived notion of who you are? Like you are like this larger than life being, and then you deep down, do you feel cringe that this person is thinking too highly of me? Like, I'm basing this by watching your video with Andy Chen. So he was like, you're my man crush and all that. So you know what I'm trying to say, because you are so established. Does it come as intimidating to a lot of people?
To be honest, it really genuinely isn't something that I think about or even consider, because I can't change or I can't help what people think of me. And I guess to a certain extent, I've tried to make myself not be concerned about that, because you just waste too much energy, if you try and
you can't control
give
it.
some kind of impression to everybody that you might encounter, or it's too suffocating. And I'm just too old and life is too short to really be concerned about that. My main motivations really in the last 25 years or so has been to be as dedicated to my work as I can be, and as dedicated to my family as I can be. My family means the world to me. And I would even go as far as to say it means more to me than my work. And my work means a lot to me. Without it, I honestly wouldn't know what would have become of me, without the means to, as I said earlier, kind of channel all the pandemonium that's going on in my head.
The chaos.
Into my work, into the roles that I am lucky enough to play. So there.
How is the state of theatre industry in Singapore nowadays? Is the support very good? Compared to maybe 5 years ago?
Oh gosh, wow. I would say, in the time that I've been working, I've seen huge waves of change. And certainly when my wife Tracie, who is my boss and my director, and she basically is the brains and the brawn and the beauty
real Pang.
of Pangdemonium. Yeah, she is. She's the real Pang, actually. I'm the little I. She's the real Pang. Tracie Pang, my boss. And I have to say that
she's the Pangdemonium.
I take every opportunity to make that clear to people, because I really think not enough people know that, and not enough people acknowledge how awesome she is as an artist and as a director, and as artistic director of
while juggling
Pangdemonium.
as a mom as well.
Yeah, as a mom, and just dealing with my shit.
Superwoman.
And dealing with me as living with me. That she deserves a medal just for that. When we started Pangdemonium in 2010, and in the last 8.5 years, I can honestly say I've seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth, a lot of expansion, and it's a very exciting time. It's a very exciting time for theatre. And what is particularly exciting for me is to know that, the work that Pangdemonium has been creating, and we have committed ourselves to creating work that is stimulating, thought-provoking.
Creates conversations.
Yes, that's what we want to do. But creating conversations so that people can be inspired to take some kind of action, And increasingly so, that's what pushes me and inspires me. I just want to tell stories that make people just kind of shake people up a little bit and wake up a little bit and make people go, oh God, that's not right. If this is the way things are, then I want to do something about it to change the way things are. Those are the kind of stories that excite me. Those are the kind of roles that excite me to play. And what is very exciting is for me to know that audiences and young audiences, we live in a time of people shitting on this section of our community called millennials and assuming that millennials are entitled and don't care. But from my own perspective and from my own experience, getting to know and working with and having this group of people come to engage in the kind of work that I'm lucky enough to do, there are a lot of people who want to care and want to do something and want to have their theatre experience move them and provoke them and stimulate them and motivate them in that kind of way. They're not afraid to be disturbed, which is fantastic. So, yeah, millennials rule.
A lot of young actors start theatre to hone and cut their teeth when it comes to acting before they move on to television. Do you feel like it's a good way to start your acting career?
Okay, I think first of all, the very fact that you have put it in that way, start in theatre before moving on to television, unquote. Okay, I think that is slightly misguided, put it that way, to look at it, because that is not the way the trajectory should be. I think ideally, and my ideal idea of a career would be to be able to flit between theatre. I mean, just broadly speaking, you just want to group them in 3 different camps, theatre, TV, film, flit between these 3 mediums and make a varied exciting career out of mixing it up like that. And that's what makes it, exciting. If a performer is able to do that for a lot of their career, just mix their genres and do all kinds of different work, then you have a really rich career. You might not absolutely become rich, but you'll be richer as a performer.
Oh, that makes sense. Have you stopped doing film and TV altogether?
No, I haven't. In fact, I am in the middle of filming a TV thing at the moment.
Okay, so you're not just sticking to theatre?
No, I mean, my first commitment is to Pangdemonium. And in the last 8.5 years, that's been the mainstay of my work. And my work with Pangdemonium will always come first.
Yeah, it's your company.
Yeah, whether it is as a producer or as, a performer. So if there's any work outside of that, whether it's another theatre piece or whether it's a TV production or whether it's a film project that I am able to fit in and juggle around my schedule, my Pangdemonium schedule, then all the better. As I said, for me to be able to mix it about as well and just to flex those other muscles, So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, never say never. I might do another Mandarin series. God help me.
Maggi and Me too.
Oh my Lord, please.
That's a big favorite amongst my friends.
Seemingly so. A lot of people talk to me about that still.
Okay, as someone who doesn't practice theatre or have zero idea of acting, can you loosely walk me through what goes through a theatre production? Obviously, like this year, you have a few projects lined up, right? But you obviously have to plan, okay, so this particular month, you're going to have this show. So can you walk me through like the creation of the ideas or who,
Wow, okay. Speaking purely from Pangdemonium's perspective, we do 3 shows a year and we plan way ahead. I mean, we're already planning for our 2020 season and we're just at the start of 2019 now. We're already planning...
Pangdemonium film?
Pangdemonium, yeah. So we're programming our 2020 season now because apart from everything else, we're the only company that has a season ticket. So towards the end of every calendar year, we announce the next year's season and we sell the season ticket and people can buy season ticket for all 3 productions for the following year, which means that's why we have to plan so far ahead. So we're already looking at 2020, we already pretty much know what we want to program, looking at 2021. And I say all this because we need to, first of all, if we are going to be staging a play that, say, is an English play or an American play, or in the case of what we're going to be doing next, it's a Canadian play written by a young Canadian playwright called Jordan Tannehill. I'm reading scripts all the time, I'm ordering scripts all the time, and reading and then hoping that the first 10 pages grab me. And then if I find a play that excites me and I say, this script is kick-ass, this is the kind of play that Pangdemonium wants to do, then it's a matter of applying for the rights, negotiating with the playwright's agent, and if they agree to let us have the rights, negotiating the fees and all that stuff.
Oh, this is like 2 years before.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, very often you have to do that. Yeah.
2 years before the actual thing.
Just to make sure that you have
That's
the
crazy.
rights. And then, months before you go into production, you obviously have to cast it and you have to get the whole creative team around it, the set designer, the lighting designer, sound designer, costume designer. And all these creative elements, kind of magically kind of come together, all under the reins of, like I said, my awesome boss, my director, Tracie. And then the rehearsal process will start usually around 4 weeks before the actual run. So we rehearse for 4 weeks and then we get into the theatre. We call it the bump-in week or tech week, the technical week, where it'll be the first time we actually go into the theatre and start rehearse the thing on stage. And then it's opening night and then you're off and running. So that is with a play that is with a ready-made script. Compared to our next production after that, which happens to be a brand new play that Pangdemonium have commissioned. And it's a play we've got a Singapore playwright called Ken Kwek, who is a writer and director as well. He's directed a film called Unlucky Plaza a couple of years back. And we've got him to write a piece for us that is revolving around the Me Too movement. So it's a brand new piece. So now this piece, we started working on about 2 years ago. So basically speaking with the playwright to say, okay, this is the idea that we want to create a play about. Is this something that, excites you? And if he says yes, so we work together formulating the ideas. And so it's taken pretty much a 2-year process to get to a place where we said, okay, now the script is ready. And now we put the cast together, etc., etc., etc. It is, yeah, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of frustration.
And then all you get is like applause.
Well, that's what it's about. But that's why, certainly for me, you put in all that blood, sweat, and tears and all that mental, emotional investment into it. You want to know that you're making some kind of impact on the people that buy the ticket and sit there for 2 hours. For me, I don't want to just quote unquote entertain people. I want to move people. That's the kind of work that I want to do.
How many weeks of rehearsals do you think would be great for a good production?
Well,
in your experience,
we work pretty fast here. We work very fast and very intense. And Tracie has somehow honed it to this special kind of craft where, gosh, even with a brand new piece, let's say a year ago, we did a brand new piece that we had commissioned once again called Dragonflies. And yes, the writing process took a year and a half, but the rehearsal process took 3.5 weeks. A brand new play, 3.5 weeks. And with a new play, very often in rehearsals, things are changing as well. So you really have to have a cast and crew who are thinking on their feet, really, really committed, very adaptive, able to change, able to retain stuff really quick and really well, but able to change things at the last minute as well. So yeah, we work pretty intensely. I know companies who, they rehearse for months, for a production, but, I think that would drive me mad, personally.
Yeah, considering you have like a few more lined up and all that, projects-wise.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, I assume not every production has gone according to plan. Like, I'm pretty sure when it comes to showtime, on a day itself, there's a lot of problems or stuff that arises.
Yes.
Any great stories about that?
Well, the one that comes to mind immediately is when I did a particular show, 3 years ago. Not a Pangdemonium show, but it was a musical that I was doing at Marina Bay Sands. And in the particular role, I was singing this big anthemic piece to the crowds, and then the lights go out. And from the second level where I'm singing this song, in complete blackout, I have to step back, turn left, go down a corridor, go down a staircase off stage, and then reappear 20 seconds later on the first level. Okay. On one particular night, I sang my song, lights go off, I backed up, miscounted, turned left, walked 3 steps, and banged my head against the underside of a metal staircase.
Oh, no.
And by the time I reappeared
to the stage,
15 seconds later, down below, my entire forehead was covered in blood.
Oh, man.
And I was bleeding right down my face onto my white shirt. And you should have seen
your wife?
My co-actor on stage. She looked at me in horror, because from that moment on, I didn't have a chance to leave the stage again until the end of the play.
Oh, no.
So every time someone came on stage, I just continued bleeding for the next 20 minutes. And every time someone came on stage, they would kind of look at me and walk away and come back and shake my hand, because that handshake would always also include a piece of tissue for me.
It's innovative thinking,
Yeah, smart of them, not very smart of me. So yeah, but you just have to go with it, really.
If it's you, you probably want the show to go on, but if it happened to a co-actor, would you have stopped the production, or the show have to go on no matter what?
Well, unless, that person's, suffering a stroke or something. I suppose, hey,
unless you're dying.
These things happen, they happen. And I have heard, I think recently, there was an actor who was doing a musical in the UK, and halfway through, he started feeling very uneasy. And when he went off stage, he couldn't go on because the medic came to his rescue and said, "Man, you're having a stroke." So they had to cancel the rest of the show.
Oh,
yeah, they canceled the rest of the show. But, yeah, and then there's another story I heard last year, fantastic story. The production Mamma Mia on the West End, there was one of the actresses, I can't remember why she couldn't go on stage for that particular performance, but some clever dick called up another actress who was in another theatre nearby as an understudy, who herself had been an understudy on Mamma Mia a couple of years before, and said, listen, this is the situation. This actress can't go on. Are you game to go on for her? And she ran from that other theatre to this theatre, got into costumes, and went on stage and kicked ass.
That's like Rockstar.
Like that. That is rock and roll, man. That is living on the edge.
Wow. It's live show and, you know, things can go wrong.
Yeah. And the audiences somehow love that. They love that element impromptu of danger.
Yeah. I mean, it's Pangdemonium films. Next time, hey, it's chaos.
Absolutely.
You have to live up to our name,
That's right.
So, do you encourage people when they ad-lib and all that on their performance?
To an extent, I mean, if
contributes to the script. And
I guess. But, you know, you also have to kind of respect the writing. You have to respect the writing. And if an actor is just going off on their own tangent and is compromising the story, then, of course, that's no good.
Unfair.
It's not right. And it's not fair to the rest of the cast as well. And I've known actors who have kind of attempted that. And, you know, the director had to
blacklisted,
tell them in no uncertain terms to stop it.
How many other production houses other than Pangdemonium Films are there in Singapore? Are there a lot more?
I mean, you know, like I said, you know, Pangdemonium is 8.5 years old. So we're the new-ish kids on the block, I suppose. There are still more established theatre companies who've been around 20 years, 25 years, or even longer. They have some that have come and gone. And I guess following up from your question earlier on, in the last 5-6 years, I've been aware of smaller companies being set up by, you know, young, hungry, passionate.
Even the ones that came from your production and started their own.
I mean, yeah, they have been, which is fantastic. That's what we need. You know, that's what we...
To grow the...
Absolutely. We need a very varied
you don't want just
ecosystem.
One product. Yeah.
No. I mean, there's no meaning.
Do you have a sense of responsibility, because being in a game for so long, to propel the progress of the theatre industry? Because the more interest, the better for everyone, right?
No, for sure. Yeah.
Do you see yourself like holding that responsibility, or, you know, just however it grows organically?
I run away from responsibility. I mean, that's why I'm an actor. I mean, there's very little responsibility, but you know.
Give it to your wife.
Yeah, exactly. No, even with that, I was going to say, as co-artistic director, suddenly I have all these responsibilities, but I very willingly shoved a lot of it over to my boss and my wife. You know, I've never seen myself as having some sort of
savior.
No, gosh, please. You know, it's too much. It's too much. I mean, to even assume to have that kind of responsibility to try and transform the way things are, it's not. I mean, all I can do is just try and be as truthful to myself as I can with the work that I am doing. And if that in its small way affects people and has an impact on the scene as a whole, then that's great, you know. But no, I'm too selfish to have that kind of highfalutin
But are you cautious with competitions? Your company at the end of the day has to earn money, right?
Oh, God, yeah. But at the end of the day, hey, it's still a business.
Yeah, it's still a business.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's helps you to stimulate your creative mind nowadays? Like, do you watch cartoons or listen to Slash? Or
Actually, music, oddly enough, I find quite inspiring.
Gen Y music.
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, my two sons, they're very sweet. They introduce me to the music that they're into all the time. And, you know, I'm always pleasantly surprised by how certain artists or certain pieces of music connect with me, with where I am right now in my life, and make me feel, hey, you know, this really gives me an idea for something. So I guess, you know, I hope to always be able to open and have my antenna ready and to kind of receive that kind of stimuli all the time. So in music and, you know, watching as much theatre as I can, watching as many films as I can, and just being inspired by other people's lives. You know, just actually meeting people, I find incredibly...
I hope I contribute something.
Hey, yeah, man, you are moving me, mate. You are moving me. Yeah, I move. So I move.
Podcast theatre.
That's right.
This is another question for me, asking as a non-actor, as someone who is in a different realm and a different universe. I want to ask a question about getting into character when you're doing certain roles. You've obviously played countless of different characters throughout your life. For the younger listeners who aspire to be an actor, there's probably not a right or wrong answer, but how do you actually get into character? Heath Ledger has his own way, you know, like that very drastic, lock himself into the basement and, you know, really get into that Joker mode. But for you, you know, getting into that psyche and being into that character and having to do it so many times, do you have a template?
No, I don't. The simple answer is no, I don't. As far as I'm concerned, I think I've come to believe that you do whatever is necessary depending on the role. I mean, there's no, you know, I think
There's no textbook answer.
There isn't a textbook method, as it were. And even those so-called method actors, I think what that means is that they will adapt whatever method they have to the particular role. You know, for example, I wouldn't be able to say that I tackle a role like that of a serial killer pedophile, which I've played before a few years ago with Pangdemonium in a show.
You
called
can't identify with that character.
I mean, the way to approach a role like that would be completely different from the way I approach a role like, say, as you mentioned earlier, Maggi Me.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of preparation that you have to put into it is completely worlds apart.
Yeah, opposite.
So I think instinctively, as an actor, you just have to know and you have to be ready to put in the work necessary in order to create that role and be as truthful to that role as you can. As much truth as a role like Maggi and Me can have.
But do you watch like videos to sort of try to tap into the mind?
Yeah, actually.
YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, okay, for example, for this role of this serial killer pedophile, he was based on a real person called Robert Black, who is still in prison now, actually.
Life imprisonment.
Life imprisonment, and he was a sick man. You know, he did a lot of horrible things to children. He tortured them and he abused them and then he killed them and he couldn't stop himself. So there is some documentation online about him, and there was a documentary made on his life. There's books about him, there's interviews about him, and of course there's interviews about all sorts of other sick people like, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer and, you know, other serial killers, and which I had to delve in to try to get as much information and try to absorb as much information as I could, because just to build an inner life and build a backstory, a history for this character that I had to play. I can't say it was fun, but it certainly felt like this is what I needed to do. It got me into a pretty messed up place.
That place.
Yeah, and it's strange because when I'm in the middle of it, I don't realize that. It's only after that, and my sons actually can tell me now. They said, you do realize that during that time you were a very different person. And I didn't realize it. I honestly did not realize.
You didn't give them their money for this?
But you know, when you're in the thick of it, you just kind of slightly lose yourself, I suppose. But you do what's necessary. You just have to.
Acting in a lot of different characters, do you take away anything from each of
I
them?
do, yes.
So you're like,
I'm in a
combination of so many things.
You are absolutely right.
Wow.
Me now is the sum of, I would say,
all your acting.
Everything. Yeah, I mean that's why I'm a very incomplete human being that is slowly being constructed as the years go by with the roles that I play. And I'm not even kidding about that. With every role that I play, whether however trivial or however intense or profound or whatever you want to call it, I think in some way it impacts and informs the person I am becoming.
Wow.
It's just true. So I have no choice but to take that as a positive and to feel blessed that that is part of my life.
Are you such a great actor that like
No.
Nobody knows the real Adrian Pang? Like you still hide the real I don't know, maybe you have to put some sort of a mask because you don't want to.
No, I mean, okay. First of all, that question has to be separated into two parts. No, I do not feel that I'm a great actor. And the second part being
your trophies or whatever might.
No, the second part of the question: do I feel I need to hide? I suppose once again going back to an earlier question, I think I'd be lying if I say I don't put on any kind of a front or something. I think inevitably everybody has to wear certain masks. And it's very tiring and for me, and every time I feel that I'm having to do that, it takes something out of me, takes something away from me, and that's why increasingly I'm becoming very reclusive and I just don't go out and meet people. And
the grey hair start to
that exactly. If this carries on, I just don't need that kind of pressure, I suppose. So I'm trying as far as possible to alleviate that pressure from myself, and I pretty much keep to myself. And like I said, if people think whatever it is about me, I can't. It takes too much effort to try and change people's impressions. Gone are the days when I want everybody to like me, you know. That's just pathetic.
That's why you got no Instagram.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. I just really am one of those people that just doesn't see the need to
Self-entitlement.
yeah to
instant
announce
gratification.
every damn sneeze or fart that I emit, because you know what the hell? Honestly, who cares? Who cares what you're eating? I don't. Oh God! I mean, but that's the world we live in now, and you know, people thrive on it, and it becomes so much of people's identity and self-validation that they have this hourly outlet of posting something into the world to let the universe know that they're traveling from Choa Chu Kang to Changi.
All right. Okay. So I don't want to use the word broken, but I mean, part of what makes a person a great actor, I mean, you have to be really off for you to be a really good actor.
Off.
I don't know what's the proper word.
Off my head.
To be able to emote the feelings or whatever. The point I'm trying to get is that for someone like you who's obviously gone through so much and different characters, can you identify if you meet someone who's probably gone through a lot, like, you know, you see this person, a fellow friend or whatever, and if you see someone who's gone through the same thing as you, you'll be able to identify that person?
I think...
I hope I'm making any sense.
No, I think I know what you're getting at. And I think it's safe to say, you know, I have gone through my own shit in my own life. I'm not saying I've had a shitty life. I've had a pretty okay life. But, you know, whose life is perfect? Nobody's life is perfect. I've gone through my own shit, and, you know, a lot of ways I'm still going through my own shit. And a lot of that shit is, you know, created by myself. Can't blame anybody else. So I struggle with all that shit constantly. And I think recently I've come to acknowledge that maybe I'll never completely be free from all that shit. Maybe I ought to kind of make friends with this shit and just learn to live with it, or at least learn to accept that.
The chaos mantra.
Yeah, I'll always
It's going to be a part of your life.
Yeah. And instead of trying to fight it all the time, or trying to exorcise these so-called demons and trying to evict them.
It,
yeah, to say, okay, you want to live with me? Okay, fine, bring it on. I'll deal with you, but you got to deal with me, and we will learn to live together and try to get through each day. And then you meet someone else whose life is 100 times more shitty than you. For real. And it really puts things into perspective for you. And it really makes you go, okay, you know what? I got nothing to complain about. My life is great compared to yours. I have so much to be thankful for. And fuck, if there was some way I could do something to help you to make your life better, I want to try and do that. That feeling of helplessness sometimes just makes you go, okay, you know, in my capacity, if I can have the privilege of telling your story to other people so that other people can understand and other people can empathize, and not just empathize, but want to do something and to make a change, then maybe I'm doing something positive. And like I said, you know, through Pangdemonium, the stories that we've told, I've had the blessing to meet some incredible people who are going through the most heart-wrenching experiences, which make you go, oh my God, you know, there's more to life than this thing that I'm going through. It just really puts life in perspective for you, you know?
I think we all should be a bit more grateful.
No, for sure. I think gratitude is something that I'm certainly trying to embrace, you know, for myself.
Okay, as we wind down a little bit, any young talents you want to give a shout out to?
Erwin Shah Ismail.
Erwin Shah.
Yeah.
Is he the staple theatre guy?
You know, I would welcome any opportunity to work with Erwin. I mean, on top of being a versatile actor who can do comedy, who can do drama, who can sing, who can dance, apart from all that, he is just a genuinely great human being, you know. And these are the kind of people you want to surround with, you want to work with, you want to be part of your life, you know, you want to be able to call your friends, you know, just good, genuine, grounded people. And those people are rare. Those people are rare. So yeah, Erwin, he's a good guy.
Shout out to, if you're wondering who we're talking about, you can go to Instagram and find him at Erwinis. Not that you would know because you're not on Instagram. Pangdemonium has an Instagram.
Pangdemonium has, yes, it does.
Handled by your wife, I assume?
It's handled by it's handled by...
What is one thing that you've learned in your whole experience in theatre or in acting that you can apply to your life?
You can fool some of the people all of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time. but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. And that's a quote from Abraham Lincoln, actually, which basically...
It's not applied to Trump or...
Oh, there are many, many quotes that he's given us that I'm sure we can apply to
It's
our
not
lives.
during my time, so I don't know.
Well, strangely enough, Abraham Lincoln wasn't during my time as well.
Okay.
But he said that famous line during his time, which, if you think about it, applies to so many situations in anybody's life, because if you try and live your life trying to please every damn person, you're going to have a very miserable short life.
That's true.
I think. So, you just have to get away with what you can get away with and try and learn to live with yourself, I think. And it's very good that you're making me say these things to myself because
Therapy.
Self-therapy. It is self-therapy.
You should do interviews and podcasts more often.
Oh my goodness.
So who was the president during your time?
My time.
Who was the US president or Singapore president for that matter?
As a kid, the president that I was aware of was Benjamin Shears.
Okay.
So that was a while ago. Yeah.
I don't keep up with US.
Oh, you're talking about the US president?
Yeah.
God. My goodness.
Was it Bush?
God, it's way before that. My goodness. I was living in the time of Carter, and then, this is not chronological.
Wait,
and then
how old are you yesterday?
I'm 53. I said,
you're 53.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was born in 66, so you can go Google whoever was the president.
Oh, you have a Hanyu pinyin name, Peng Yao Shun.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
Peng Yao Shun. Yeah.
It's Peng Yao Shun.
Peng Yao Shun.
Close enough.
Okay. Anything on 2019 that people should be excited for Pangdemonium Films?
Pangdemonium Productions.
Oh, sorry, Pangdemonium Production.
Pangdemonium Theatre Company.
How dare I?
Pangdemonium Theatre Company. Well, like I said, our 2019 season has launched. A show that we're producing first in February is a play called Late Company. And that is gripping family drama that explores the scourge of cyberbullying in our society. It also looks at youth culture, a fast mutating youth culture, 21st century parenting, and how social media has kind of changed all our lives. Beautiful, beautiful play, heartbreaking, funny as well. And one of my sons, actually, Xander, is actually playing my onstage son, my 18-year-old son. He's got a great role in it. I actually wish I was young enough to play that particular role. So great play. Look out for that, Late Company. And then, as I said earlier, the next play we're doing is a brand new original play making its world premiere called This Is What Happens to Pretty Girls. And it's a play that is written by a Singapore playwright. It's set in Singapore and it revolves around the Me Too movement. It looks at the untold stories and looks at all the grey areas that surround that whole issue. Harassment, sexual assault, toxic masculinity.
It's a great thing that is being addressed at this day and age.
Because, when it was first brought up, this whole Me Too thing, started in America and then, it became a worldwide thing. In Singapore, there was a little bit of ruffle of feathers about that and then nobody's talking about it anymore. But our playwright, Ken, he conducted 100 interviews.
Ken Lim?
Ken Kwek.
Oh, Ken Kwek.
He conducted more than 100 interviews with women and men who have gone through some kind of trauma, sexual harassment, sexual assault. And he said it just broke his heart to hear all these stories. He said he wanted to tell everybody's story, but he has distilled these stories into this one play, which is really powerful, really poignant, and actually very provocative as well. And I'm quite sure it's going to stir a lot of conversations and a lot of emotions. So look out for that. This is What Happens to Pretty Girls. And then our final show for the year is a musical comedy called Urinetown, which is a musical set in a fictional, most expensive city in the world that is experiencing a fictional cross-border water crisis where people have to, again fictional, have to pay to use public toilets. And things go down the toilet, basically. Yeah.
I was trying to think of a pee pun very quick, but I couldn't. I was told me to go to the Urinetown thing. But getting back to the Me Too, it's not just females who get harassed. Terry Crews, where he mentioned that big muscular guy he himself got harassed.
Absolutely.
It's not just women, even
sure.
men go through it.
For sure. Yeah. And I was just recently reading an interview with Brendan Fraser, the actor, who also has his own Me Too story where a few years ago he was assaulted, really, by another man at a party. So yeah, you're right. It is something that doesn't just happen to women. And in fact, in this play, this is what happened to Pretty Girls. There is a strand of the story. There's a bit of a spoiler where something does happen to one of the male characters as well. And in fact, the title alone, This Is What Happened to Pretty Girls, is provocative on its own, because there are some people who believe that these kind of things only happen to pretty girls. And of course it doesn't. It doesn't. So there's a story that needs to be told and needs to be addressed.
Okay, just last question. Why should people come and watch theatre? For people who hasn't popped their virgin theatre cherry.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I've always believed that the arts is the heart and soul of any community. And being a theatre practitioner myself as part of the arts community, hand on my heart, I'm just so excited to hold on to the belief that the experience of theatre has always been, still is, and will always be a bargain between an audience member and a performer coming together in one space to enter into a contract of engagement and mutual communication. For me, theatre is not a one-way traffic.
Everyone benefits.
Everyone benefits. For me as a performer, when I'm on stage, when I'm telling a story, I'm absorbing whatever the audience is giving back as well.
The energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can call it anything you like, but for me, it's a very tangible thing. And the more I give you, and the more you give me back, the more I also want to give you back in turn. And that mutual kind of feeding and hopefully impacting on each other's beings, each other's hearts, if you like. It all sounds all very romantic and everything. But I believe if people are really open-hearted about it, everybody leaves that space, that theatre, richer in some way, you know? And that's what we need in our lives right now, you know? The world is going down the toilet. You want to talk about Urinetown? The world is in the shit right now. The world could end very soon. Never mind climate change. Our leaders, our world leaders are throwing us into the shit.
The gutter, yeah.
And we just, we the common people here, you know, need to reclaim some sense of what it means to be what life is all about and what human beings are all about, right down to the basics, you know.
Be reminded of stuff and all that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great escape, you know.
No, actually for me, theatre can be an escape, yes, but it also can be the absolute truth. And sometimes, you know, we are escaping into our phones and everything. Going to the theatre just brings us back to real life again. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
All right. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for inviting me to the inaugural. I mean, this place is not yet built.
Yeah, we're sitting a bit amongst a pile of rubble.
When will everything be fully...
Well, we moved in here a month ago.
Why the move though, actually?
Because we needed a bigger space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it's because like the government is charging you too expensive for the lease.
There's always that. Yeah, there is that. In fact, we're still paying too much for this place. But yeah, we're waiting for these walls to be soundproofed. We're sitting in the middle of a rehearsal room at the moment. But everything else in this lovely Pangdemonium.
This is where they rehearse for theatre?
So this is going to be where we're going to be rehearsing from now on.
I never thought I would ever do a podcast in Expo. Traveled to a lot of like all over Singapore, but you know, Expo. Well, thank you so much. I love what you shared.
Thank you very much, mate.